The indie author revolution has been around for more than a decade, but we indies continue to push the boundaries of what we're capable of, from getting over initial prejudices to staring down perfectionism and author imposter syndrome. We've become a force to reckon with. Now, after years of hustle and grind, we indies are rebelling again. Gone are the days of publishing a book a month until we drop, and in its place we're sowing the seeds of a better way. A way with more ease, abundance, and flow. Get ready to learn about indie authorship from a whole new perspective. We're about to cover everything from releasing your poverty mentality to manifesting your millionaire author destiny. I'm Carissa Andrews, and this is the Author Revolution Podcast.
Well, hi there, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Author Revolution Podcast. Oh, okay. So I'm going to give you a fair warning. Right the heck now. Grab your coffee. Be ready to go, because not only do you have me speaking super fast at high speeds, don't try to double time this episode, please, for the love of all that's holy. But you have two of us. Today, my podcast episode guest is Bonnie Paulson. She is the founder of FindingYourIndie.com. and the amazing author of so many books. It's just 200 plus some odd books. It's pretty crazy. When I first entered her sphere, it was actually because of my PA, Jenny. I've been looking for ways to be able to increase my ROI with ads for my author stuff, obviously the urban fantasy side of things. And Bonnie's name kept coming up over and over again. Now, I hadn't quite pulled the trigger because I wasn't quite sure who she was just yet. I had a lot of other things going on. And so I was just like, okay, who's this lady? Well, obviously, I met her at InkersCon, took her class, a couple of classes actually, and found myself absolutely enamored with this woman. Not only is she smart as a whip, she is super duper smart, but she's one of those types of people where I can have a conversation at my speed, which is super fun. And not many people can do it. So it was super interesting to have this conversation with her. And while we started off talking about ads and how to optimize your ads for the best ROI to be able to increase sales, we ended up delving into topics like direct sales and AI for authors and many others. So if you want a very broad range of topics that are super relevant for 2023, this episode, my friend, is it. Bonnie is a wonderful speaker. She has a wealth of knowledge, and I know you're going to love this interview. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Well, hi there, Bonnie. I'm so excited to have you on the Author Revolution podcast. It is an absolute thrill because I've been wanting to pick your brain for quite a while.
Oh, thanks. You're so sweet.
Yeah. And in the introduction, I talked about how you kind of came into my radar. For you, I don't know if you know this, but it was actually from my PA, Jenny, who actually got me interested in following what you and Mandy do. It was pretty cool. But for my audience who doesn't know much about you yet, do you want to describe what you do and who you are?
Yeah, sure. And Jenny is amazing. She's a sweetheart. So I'm so glad that we kind of know that way. We're like the Kevin Bacon, whatever, 6 degrees.
Heck yes.
2 degrees. So yeah, my name is Bonnie Paulson and I own Finding Your Indie. That's FindingYourIndie.com. And we do ad management, business consulting, marketing consulting. We do a lot of strategy planning for people. Yeah, just great stuff like that. And I'm actually really into the analytics side of ads and the marketing and what's working, what's not. And I'm really blunt. So sometimes I kind of hurt people's feelings, which is sucky, but it's also, a tough love thing. I'm a mom of 6 kids and I don't believe in flowering things up. I don't believe in wasting time. So if somebody asks me, hey, do you think my book is ready for marketing? And it's not, I will say it's not. So that's kind of, I'm not the huggy person. But yeah, I love this industry. I love authors. I love the goal and the entrepreneurship, the mindset the authors have. And I just want to see people succeed. And what's so nice about this, and I say this all the time, is our industry is not a zero-sum game. Readers are constantly looking for books. They're constantly looking for a good book. I'm a reader and I'm always looking for the next great book. And if you're not marketing correctly, you're not finding me, and I want to find it. So
Right?
I do this kind of selfishly, right? Get me the good books because I want you to tell me what to read. I don't want to have to look for it. And I think that's what most readers are like. So
I love that.
That's
Well,
me.
first of all, I love that you're blunt because I live with a man who is from England. And so he is very blunt. I am so
Oh,
used
I
to that.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like sexy blunt, right?
Right. Right. Well, sometimes there are other times where you're like, really? That's what you chose to say? Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, but it's with an accent. Come on, Carissa. Like anything
That
can
is
be said
true.
with an accent. I can't do an
That's true.
accent for nothing. I don't forget
Yeah.
that. Delete that.
Like I totally can't either. So I won't even try. But I will. It's so funny. Like he lives in my house, obviously, and he has two sons that are from England that came to live with us. I listen to their
Oh,
accents all day long, and when you're in person, it kind of fades away. But when you're on the phone, it's like, holy crap, you're British. Why? When did that happen?
when did that happen? Oh
It's
my
so
gosh,
weird.
I love that.
Yeah, it's
That's
funny.
cute.
Okay, well, I think you touched on this next question just a little bit, but I'm curious. You are obviously like incredibly prolific and successful author yourself. So, what was the tipping point? Like, what made you decide to start helping authors with their like ad strategies and marketing strategies?
So, yeah, I get this question a lot. I actually, I actually didn't want to become an author service like at all because I was just like, no, I just wanted to help. I was helping people, and I was helping my friends and helping people. They would tell their friends, and they would come and help me. But what happened is people would only listen so much because it was free. So once I started charging, I realized people actually listen when they pay for the advice, when they pay for the help, and they pay for the service. When they don't, they ignore it. And then they continue down this path of insanity, really, where they're copying what they've been doing over and over and they're complaining and they're like, I can't figure out why I'm not succeeding because you're not listening. So that's when like really. And so but I
Yeah.
learned that when I started charging for consulting and I started charging for ad services, then it became where people actually started to do well. So I had my collective clients in 2021. It was $275,000 for the year annual income for all of them combined. And then I took them the next year in 2022, I took them to 2.7 million. So we times it by 10. Yeah. Like it was significant. And that was with advertising and with the things that I was telling them to do. I get that that's not going to be for everybody. However, when people pay for information, they usually apply it. Now, unless you're a course hoarder like me, I'm a course hoarder. So yeah, it's not
A
good.
procrastinator, perhaps?
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes. Procrastinator. I'm a procrastinator. It's fine.
I
Yeah,
love it.
I see a course. Yeah, I buy all the courses. Every course I can find. I'm like, I'll buy it. Sold.
Right. I am very close to that. There are so many courses that I haven't even touched as of yet, but I needed to pick it up for one way, shape, or form. I missed internet marketing mastery like by this much. I was like, I was so irritated.
Oh,
So
they're doing so good. Oh my gosh. We have about 40, I think, because we were glad to keep it a small. That's why we did such a small launch. Those people in there are killing it. They're just doing so good. Yeah. I'm so proud of them. They're just doing great. So
I can't wait until you guys open that one up again because I'm definitely going to be hopping in there.
Yeah. Oh, we would love to have you. Your energy would be great.
Oh, I'd love it. I can't wait. Yeah. My I was going to say friend, but she's also like my partner when it comes to the manifestational courses. Tammy Tyree is in there. She's my board certified clinical hypnotherapist. Yeah. So she's in there and she's telling me all about like how awesome it is. I'm like, thanks, Tammy. Thank you. I'm so glad that you got in there. Yeah.
She's adult. Yeah. She's working her butt off too. I mean, it's work, Carissa. It's not easy, but man, is it producing some serious results. It's amazing. Yeah.
I can't wait. In your experience, are there any patterns in the way that authors are advertising or marketing that you see happen a lot? Like, is it a predictable thing that you can be like, okay, this is why stuff is not working for you? Like, or is it just typically just because they're not listening?
No. Well, usually it's because they're not listening or they're listening to everybody else. Right. So and this is me. I'm a mom. I'm right.
Yep.
But here's what it really is. The constant pattern that I'm seeing people come to me with is they say things like, my last ad manager didn't work. My ads aren't working. My marketing isn't working. And I have to look at their stuff and I usually can tell them, no, it's not your ads or your marketing that isn't working. You don't understand your message. So and this is something we do teach in IMM, and this is something that I won't take on authors if they don't understand their messaging. I won't take them on for an ad client. I'm very picky. Sure. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. Because if you don't understand your message, then you don't understand who your reader is. I had a gentleman who told me that he writes Christian sci-fi something. It was like something, very specific, Christian sci-fi action thriller, whatever. And I said, oh, then we're going to target, I have a great audience for that. And then I was told by him not to market to the Christian audience because that's not who he writes to. And I said, but you just told me that's what you write. So when there's a disconnect there, that means that you don't understand your messaging. Now, if your messaging is solid, then you know who your reader is and you know who you're going to target and you know how to deliver the message. It's very easy, but so many people don't have that message. Now, Carissa, let's say you are writing a book on sweet romance, and then the next series, you're like, oh, that series didn't make me very much money. Let's say it's 5-book series. And you're like, I am going to write steamy romance with thriller, whatever. You have just completely disconnected from your message, from your audience. And I see that a lot. I think that's one of the most common things, is that they are like not understanding that once you make that promise, you're into it. You know what I mean? Like, don't leave that, stick to it. And usually people will start to make money after about 2 series, like really good series, like two trilogies, you'll start to make some money. You really can. But as long as you're sticking to that. So that's what I see. People don't understand their message and they're not sticking to it.
Gotcha. I can definitely,
long answer.
Yeah, no, I can definitely vouch for that, because when I first started as an urban fantasy author, I don't even know that urban fantasy was really a genre so much just yet. Like it was, early 2010 when I started writing. And so I thought for sure I'm writing fantasy, like just some sort of fantasy. I didn't realize what it was, but it was like, so I kind of dabbled around in a lot of things, and overall it's like magic. It's conglomerated into urban fantasy as my place. But in the beginning I didn't have any clue, like no clue at all.
Wow. Yeah.
It's so weird.
So you get it though, but you're like, now I know. Yeah.
For sure. Now I get it, but it's still, it's still me, bouncing around all the different types of urban fantasy. Let's do werewolves. Let's do this one. Like, I want to try all these different things. It's so,
and that's great. I mean, you understand though, you're still in urban fantasy, like, I think that's huge. And I have people who come to me, they're making $50,000 a month and they're like, I don't know how to scale this. And I'm like, well, first of all, wow on you. That's awesome. Second, like, what do you have set up? And so that's, again, it comes down to the message. Are your readers attracted to your message? And so, and urban fantasy is amazing. It's a great genre to write in. So good on for you.
Well, I'm actually transitioning. Well, not transitioning, but like I am splitting into rom-com. Like I just kind of, after 20 some odd books, you get to the point where you're like, I'm kind of tapped out of fantasy ideas for right now. I want to try something else to cleanse my palate. And so the rom-com pen name feels so vastly different, like knowledge-wise, trope-wise, understanding the story structure-wise than the urban fantasy ever did. So it'll be interesting to see how that one launches next year. But yeah, it's interesting how when you do understand, the reader expectation or what you'd even want to read if you were reading that particular book, it's like it changes the game. It really does.
Yeah, it does. Good point.
Yeah. So is there some sort of a budget ratio that you recommend that authors should adhere to when they're spending on their ads? Like, is it 25% of their profits, for example? Like, is there a specific range?
Well, and I think this is going to be determinant upon where you're at in your business, right? I believe in growth investing. However, if your stuff isn't right, if you don't know your message and your stuff isn't marketable, you probably shouldn't be spending anything until you get that right. So this is where you check your reviews, right? Where are your reviews saying, yes, they nailed it? Yeah. Oh, this is not what I was expecting. This was totally unexpected. That's where you want to be checking for your actual message, right? Check what the readers are gathering. Once you know for sure that your stuff is marketable, you always start off with 10% just to see. That's usually where testing is. I even do say like $5 a day on the first book in series. Start there, see where you're at. And then if you're growing, then that means that you can go up to 10%, go up to 15% and 20%, and then hold there. Don't go above 20%. Hold there until that has become your new 10%, because your income grows, right? Yep. So once that becomes your new 10%, then you can grow again. Okay, yeah, let's push up to 15% again. Let's push up to 20% again. And as long as the book one or whatever book you're advertising, I'm a huge pusher of book ones and box sets. So if you're pushing book one and book one is constantly in your major moneymaker set, right? I use Author Helper Suite, so it shows you like the top 5 moneymakers. Okay. Yep. So book one, if it's constantly in there, then you know your ads are working and you know that the read through is going to be pushing you up to the next percent level, right? Always up to the next tier. It's always, that's what you're chasing. So, but you don't want to spend 50% of your income hoping you're going to get there, because you're going to be like, this is bottoming out. I don't know what's happening. So 10%, 15, 20, 10%, 15, 20. So that's how I do it.
I love that. And so do you look back then just like the month previous, or do you look back 2 months? Like how far back do you look in order to increase that 10% to 15%, et cetera?
Well, usually it's actually So like if I get a brand new author to me, and I'm going to be managing their ads, usually what I'll say is I'm like, look, let's look at your budget first. The first month is going to be a test month, first of all, because usually they're coming to me because they don't know what their audience is, or they don't understand how they're running their ads or whatever. So I look at it and I'm like, what budget have you been under? And let's say they're making $10,000 a month and they've been spending five. I usually am like, okay, we're going to cut that in half and we're going to stick it for the next month at 2,500, and we're going to maintain that 10. So your net has gone up. So once we get the net stabilized at a higher percentage, then I'll say, okay, now we're going to adjust that 25% at the 2,500. And we're going to actually see if we can cut that down and cull it a bit so that we can get the net to go up higher, right? I don't care if the 10 grand doesn't adjust. What I'm worried about is the net. Once we can get that in place, then it's like, okay, now let's go up to 3,000 and see if we can push you up to 12 to 15,000. So that's
Okay.
really, yeah, I don't even know if that.
No, that totally makes sense. Yeah, no, I totally get that. That's great. Because I think it's really helpful for us to understand, like, what should that process look like? I know for me, it's been like, okay, I'm trying to grow this thing. So let's put as much of the profit in there as I can actually afford. And, now in the past. And so then you're kind of like, okay, when is this ever going to get bigger, or, whatever, because you're not quite making it work the way it should.
Yeah. Well, so many authors too think, and business owners think that it's a sprint, like hurry up and dump all the money into it that you possibly can. But it's actually a marathon, and you really want sustainability. So if you're not working on reader retention and you're not working on slow growth, the gradual growth of your business, and you're just working on what's going to happen in the next 30 days, you're constantly going to be chasing failure. You really are. Instead of having a growth plan, having okay, I'm in the next 3 months, I plan on spending this much money so that my income is going up as well. So that's really what you're looking for, is a marathon mentality, instead of that, hurry up and write all the things, spend all the things, and oh crap, why do I have no money? So.
Yep, for sure. Absolutely. So, okay, here's a question from my audience. If authors have only a single book, or maybe just a couple of books, should they even be advertising, or should they wait until, like, is there a tipping point, I guess, to when they should start the advertising process?
Yes, there is definitely a tipping point. So if an author has just a single book out, and I hear people say, oh, you should always advertise the book. You should always advertise every book you have out. I don't agree with this at all, at all. In fact, if an author comes to me and they have one series and it only has 3 books, I'm like, no, you're not ready for me, because they're not ready for me. What they need to have is they need to have a series that's complete with a box set or multiple box sets, depending on how many books are in that series, and starting a new series with with their prequel or whatever they have up. So they're growing their newsletter, and then they're working on that series. So we have a backlist plus box sets and another beginning of a series. That's what you want to do that's what you want to do for your marketing. So you're not blowing your cash, because that's literally what you're doing. Let's say you have one book and it's a standalone. Oh my gosh. I can't even, I don't even think they have cuss words for that. It's like, no, stop it. Stop. If you are a new author, do not write a standalone until you have 3 or 4 series out. Once you have the series out and people are addicted to you, absolutely do standalones all day long, and make sure they're nice and long and meaty, right? But Stephanie Meyer, I don't know if you know Stephanie Meyer for Twilight. She had the 4 books in the Twilight series, and then she came out with The Host.
Yep.
The Host didn't do as well as Twilight, but it did phenomenally better than a lot of other people's stuff did. And and it was still the same style, the same trope, right? Different genre, but it was still that fantasy and that paranormal romantic thing. So if you haven't read The Host, read it. It's like totally a different take on sci-fi romance, but it was really good in that she had her series and her readers followed her to that one. Like, that's what she did. Now, if she had started with The Host, she would have sucked. It would have sucked.
Sure.
Nobody would have read it. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I'm always telling people. Yes, have a series first, have at least 3 books. Then you can start $5 a day or whatever on book 1. But writing is not a get rich quick thing. This is not MLM. At least it shouldn't be. So you need to be putting the time in. And if I'm going to put this plug in there too. And I say this, and it's kind of controversial. I don't believe rapid release is a good business model unless you release like that constantly. I know a lot of writers who release once a month because that's how they write and that's what they do. But if that's not normal for you, then it's great to use rapid release as a marketing tool, but not as a writing strategy. Does that make sense?
Like, totally makes sense.
Yeah, it's great. But like, hoard those books like you're doing your rom-coms, right? Like, hoard the books, release the first series. Then guess what? You've got the first series released in what, 6 weeks? Bam, start advertising those and get going on the next series. Like that's the best way to use rapid release. But
love it. I
people
totally
hate when
agree
I say
with you.
that.
No, I totally agree. When I started, I actually have a program called Rapid Release Roadmap. And when I was starting the process of like filtering all the different ways rapid release can be applied to authors, I was like, I could not physically bring myself to like teach the like book a month, 2 books a month.
Good for you.
So it was like I had to call all that, say, here are some options. If you're interested in doing it this way, you can, but I'm going to teach you how to do it more sustainably. So I teach how to do it up to 4 books a year, and then give them 2 options, either hoarding the books or spreading it out quarterly so that the readers know what they're supposed to be getting. Because it was so crazy. Authors were burning out. They were getting overwhelmed, and readers were like, where's our books? And it was just like, Yeah, I totally get it. For sure.
Yep, I agree. That's awesome. I like that. Sounds like your course is pretty cool.
Ooh, thank you. I think it's cool. I do. Okay, so where should authors not waste their time and resources in marketing? Like, is there a place where they shouldn't be like putzing around with?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I have so many. So again, I'm really controversial, but I'm super blunt and bold. So an author should be focusing their time and resources on building their brand. This does not mean I'm saying, no, don't do anthologies or whatever. But what I'm saying is if you're looking at it and you're like, oh, I want to do this anthology, I have to write in an anthology, or I'm going to write in this, this collective series of other authors. If you don't, if you're already struggling, let's say to get 4 books a year, if you're already struggling to get that and that's tight, you adding something else that's going to be a burden on your brand and that's not necessarily going to push your brand isn't really helping you. That's kind of a waste of a resource, right? Like, that's a book. So if you're like, hey, can I just do an excerpt? Can I share? Can we just be in like some kind of a swap thing? That's a great way to push it. I also don't think going in Facebook groups is really a smart way to do it, but I'm also like anti going in groups. I'm like, no, don't put me into a group, but it does work for some people. But I just feel like the best thing for people to do is get out there and talk about their books. Don't be annoying. Don't DM people. But get on your Facebook pages, get on your TikTok if you have TikTok, whatever your social media preferences are, and really make sure that you're building your newsletter list, because that's the people who want to hear from you. They really want to hear from you. And that's where you should be focusing. I think one of the biggest things is that new authors come in and they're like, I have to be in this anthology and I was asked to do this and I was asked to do this and all these things. And I'm like, yeah, but what is that doing for you? What is that doing for you? Yeah. There's a big author in that book. Their readers are getting that to read that big author. They may or may not read yours, but what you should be doing is really building. Yeah, that's where I think it is people need to be working and focusing on their branding building. So in a couple of years, yeah, great. Go ahead, do an anthology if you have time. If it's not making, putting pressure on you, which I really I want people just to work on their own stuff, especially when it's so much work for people to put their books out,
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that was a lot.
No, I think that totally makes sense. And it's so funny. Becca's going to laugh. So do you know Becca Syme, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just speaking with her yesterday about strengths, and I swear you must have Maximizer in your top 5, because I hear like the language of it over and over with
really?
the way that you must like to boost people up in their successes. And so when they're not doing what is best to their success, it's like, you're like, dang it. Yeah. So I would be shocked. I would literally fall off my chair if Maximizer was not on one in like your top 10.
It's not. It's like
really
18, I think. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Oh
no,
my gosh.
And like empathy or compassion or whatever. Empathy is like 20. I was like, what? Well, wait a minute.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Yeah, okay, that's awesome though.
Then apparently I am just hearing things. I swear to God, I was dreaming about strengths all night last night. It was crazy.
I love that though. The strengths are awesome. I think that's another thing people should be focusing on too, is what are your strengths? Play to your strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of strengths, I don't know if this is a good place to go here, but let's try it. So are there any genres like where it's harder to advertise than others? So like your passion is, let's say, romance, where it's a little bit risque, whatever. Is there a genre that it's so hard to be able to like go there and advertise and get people interested? No.
I have not had any. So literally marketing is, so I have like my own definition for marketing. Marketing is just finding the people who want to hear your message. That's all marketing is. And if you're found, right, like we scroll past things all day long. Marketing, I mean, people wear shirts that have logos and we ignore all the marketing. But when we see something that catches our eye, that's for us, we're hit, right? We're like in it. Like, oh yeah, I'm so there. Like me, if I see anything that has to do with food, what? How you doing? I'm here, right? Like I'm right there. You have a picture of food or a video of food, I will watch it. I guaranteed. I don't care what kind of food it is. I will watch it. Because that's my interest, right? But guess what? I pass up every single shoe ad I've ever seen ever because I don't care. I don't care what's on my feet. My husband usually buys my shoes. I don't care. So it's like, we are literally programmed to ignore the things that we don't want to see because we're bombarded with marketing so much. So if I am interested in dog memoirs, guess what? I'm going to really pick up on the ad that talks about dog memoirs if it's done correctly. So
Right.
I don't believe that there's any book that's out there that's hard to market. I have a lot of people who write really smutty stuff. And I say that with love, like the whole smutty, like tons of sex and whatever in it. And I can market the crap out of it. And they come to me, they're like, I don't know if you can mark this. I'm in the Amazon dungeon, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, so what? We can make money with this. We just have to find the audience. And that's what we do. We find the audience. Urban fantasy, easy. Sci-fi, easy. Like it's all easy if we know who the message is for. So I don't think there is any taboo thing. Now, if it's like not good, like there's some fiction where I'm like, nope, I won't do it. Like if it's non-consensual, like the kind of stuff that's not appropriate in real life, like that kind of stuff.
For sure.
I did have someone who brought me, I'm going to totally like TMI this one, but I had an author come to me and they were like, yeah, this one's a bestiality fiction. And I was like, wait, like shifters? And they were like, no. And I was like, I'm out. There's an audience, but I'm not finding them because I don't want it. So I was like, nope.
I can see that. Like, why would you? Yeah. It was like, I don't want to be seeing that stuff. It's not fun. No, thanks.
No. Yeah. Your ad manager has to get intimate with your books. I wasn't interested. I was like, no. I'm out. Yeah. I already do shifters. I'm not doing that.
That is too funny.
Yeah, it was kind of where I was like, not the right ad manager for you. Sorry.
Yeah. I completely understand that one.
It was funny. It was funny.
Goodness. Well, and it brings a great anecdote, and that poor author's probably like, why? But why?
Yeah. No, I was very clear. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Sorry.
Good. That tough love came through right again.
Yep. It did.
It's all good.
It totally did. That's funny.
I love that. Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. So if authors are wide, where is the best place for them to put their focus to get the best bang for their buck? This was an audience polled question as well. Like they're a wide author. They need to know like where to put their focus. What would you recommend?
Okay. So there is some really great strategies out there for wide books. The first one is if you're doing a first and free and you're obviously on Amazon and you're wide, the great place to put it is like Amazon ads. If you're first and free, but make sure your CPC is super low. We're talking like 12 cents, 13 cents, dynamic up and down. Make sure your audience is targeted really tight. Once you're there, because that increases your rank, right? And it's just a steady flow. You can put it at $5 and it'll just run. It'll just do really well. Now, if you're focusing on getting your wide audience increased, right? Which we all are. Everybody wants, if you're wide, you want all the readers. You want all of them. So Facebook ads are some of the best ones for that, right? Newsletter promos are great. I'm not a huge fan of doing discounts all day long. So usually I recommend the box sets, get them in there, or do a newsletter, like a newsletter magnet or something. Facebook seems to be the best pay to play right now. BookBub is good, but most of BookBub's audiences are really focused on discounts, freebies. They're not really looking to be a reader that will stick with an author. So Facebook seems to be the answer right now. Now, TikTok, a lot of people are like, hey, go to TikTok. Do not run ads on TikTok. They're still trying to figure out their ad algorithm. It's not quite targetable. And I have tried. I've spent so much money on there. I mean, we're talking like almost 6 digits. So ouch. Yeah. So doing all the testing stuff, I would definitely say don't do it.
Okay.
And that's with my ads and stuff, the ad knowledge that I have. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to be a good return. However, and I did see later that there was like a YouTube ad question that you had, if I can put that in here.
Yeah, I would love that.
YouTube ads they're okay. Right now, there's a controversy right now because of what Google's placement has been on with the YouTube ads. So if you are doing, I know a lot of authors do like an audiobook YouTube channel. So if you are pushing ads and you're running ads and they take them to your YouTube channel, the audiobook channel, or even your author channel or whatever you're doing, that is a great place if you treat it like a funnel to run, and that's what we always have to be thinking. What am I going to do with this? Is it grabbing someone just to grab a book sale, or is it grabbing someone to put them into my reader retention system, right? My funnel. So right. I think that's like, there's a lot of options out there right now. Wide is Facebook. Like that's where but always be on the lookout for other options, because Instagram, their ads don't do great, but man, if you can bump your page and get that going, Instagram's great for authors. Like there's especially white authors. That's a great place too, but it's hard to control because the ads are super expensive and they're just not always effective.
Sure.
I know. You're going to have to like slow down.
Are you kidding me? You're like right at my speed. It's great.
Okay, good. Good.
I am following you wonderfully. Okay, so question then, if you were going direct, is Facebook still the place to be, or would you recommend Google Ads?
So, okay. Ooh, good question. Okay. So Facebook, what's nice about Facebook and Google Ads is they all work on a really tight algorithm, and they actually work well together. So if you're running Facebook ads, and I am going direct myself, so this is a great place for me to be talking about this. I'll be running Facebook ads to a degree. I've heard people say that traffic ads aren't good, but they are. Traffic ads are really good because Facebook understands that we want clicks, right, to the landing page. As long as you identify what your result is, go to the landing page, right, website, then that's what they're going to look for. They're not just looking for sales conversions, which we don't always want. Yes, we want sales conversions, but I want people to land on my direct sales page because they're going to be invested in that experience of my direct sales. That's what's so great about our own having a direct shop, right? Like you can do whatever you want there. You're not controlled by Amazon and just one landing page. You can do whatever you want. So when you're doing that, once you have that Facebook pixel in place and you place your Google Analytics pixel, anything that you're running from Facebook to Google trains your Google Analytics so that when you start Google ads, they're already trained and they already know what to expect. So targeting is really easy in Facebook. Then that makes it even easier with Google ads.
Love it. Oh, super easy. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That is super interesting. Wow.
I know.
Okay.
You just make them all work together. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and that's really what it is they want money too. And if you're making money because of the goals and results that you've set out, ad platforms can actually be very effective.
Awesome. So now I'm curious, if you're going, you're creating your direct shop, are you using Shopify? Are you doing WooCommerce? What are you doing?
So I'm doing Shopify. It's more expensive it's really not more expensive though. Cause I had a WooCommerce store and I had to pay up front for a bunch of stuff, right? Cause you want the frequently bought togethers and you want the also buys and you want the reviews and you want all these things. All of those are apps in WooCommerce because WooCommerce was bought by GoDaddy. So GoDaddy, as we know, is not, they're not for nonprofit. Like, let's be honest, WooCommerce used to be like all free. Now it's like, hey, you have to pay because you sneezed. So I was like, and WooCommerce is not very, it's not very customer supporty. Like there's not a lot of, it's like you have to go find things and stuff. Shopify I found to be really user-friendly, and I'm a web designer, so I can do either, but the Shopify has been really great. In fact, I have a business, Author Direct Sales, where we actually create the site and stuff for people and we do their automation and stuff because it's so much fun. It's like, click, all the things.
Well, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. It's all the things. Carissa, I obviously am bored. So I have like 9 businesses.
Yeah, you only have 6 kids to keep you busy. Like you need something else to do. Right?
Hey, I gave birth to workers, so they work for me.
There you go. Right.
Yeah,
I have 4 left in the house and we've got workers too, but now they're kind of going out of the house and they're getting old and like, then we don't really see them much. Right.
Say, I'm not going to feed you anymore. Just kidding. So I really like Shopify. It has if you put in your ads, Shopify store, it has like a whole cult following as it is. It's pretty cool. I've had a couple clients who were on the Author Direct site, on the Author Direct Sales or whatever. And we transferred. I was like, are you sure you want to move from WooCommerce? And we did. And their income like tripled. Wow. So it's a stronger platform. I mean, it really is. And then there's people out there who are like, hey, we're going to do Gumroad, or we're going to do PayHip. There is really no wrong answer. It's really what's good for you. And you're going to move around. You just are. So you're in WooCommerce, you're going to go Shopify. Then you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to do Thrivecart. And then you're going to be like, apparently I'm bored. I'm going to do PayHip. Like, it's just all the things, right? So it's our problem is we have too many choices.
Right. And then if you like to learn things, and it's like, you got to test them all out to see which one you like best. And it's like all the things, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. We've been there. Got it.
That is definitely me. My husband's always like, you are not changing any covers this year. None of the covers get to change. And I'm like, what? It's going to be
rude. That's rude.
Yeah, because I'm always changing something. I'm always tweaking something. He's just like,
Yeah, that's me too. That's fine. We're good company. Good company. Crazy, but we're good company.
For sure. Yeah, I completely understand that.
That's funny.
Okay, here's another audience poll question. What is the best way to reach teen and tween readers through advertising?
Okay, so as we know that it's kind of illegal for them to have their own accounts, right? So the best way to get to a tween or teen reader is through their parents and or grandparents. So I always, or aunts and uncles, like whatever, right? So the best way to do it is to make your pitch either really pitch towards the kids or pitch it to get the attention of the adults. So there's this guy, Lane Walker. He sells direct. I got his ads. He came across my Facebook feed, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago. It was for Christmas. And it said, moms of boys, are you looking for? And I was like, yes, I am a mom of boy. And I am looking for, I have 5 boys. So I'm like, yes, I want all the things. And he was like, here's a book about hunting. And I was like, yes. Okay. Sold so far. Click. Went over there and he was like, would you like to buy a series? And this is like, I'm seriously, this is exactly the experience I had. Would you like to buy a series or 4 series? And I was like, 4 series, click. And then he was like, would you like to also get the workbooks that has the questions? Yes, click. I went to get a book, walked out with a $300 ticket. It was ridiculous.
Right.
But Santa was very popular that year. So in fact, it's my 17-year-old son, like favorite series. He's been reading it ever since he reads it over and over and over and over and over. So that's how you get the readers. So every time this Lane Walker comes out with new books, I go on one click because I know my kids are going to love them. So that's the best way to get tweens and teen readers. Now, if you're looking to actually sell, I call it inaccurate YA fiction. Like if you're like inaccurate. So there is no way in heck that I'm going to be pushing some of the YA romances out there to my kids. There's no way. Yeah. However, I will devour those in a bag of Oreos on a Friday night in no time, right? Because it's like coming of age and it's all the sex and it's all the romance and yes, yumminess. I'm not pushing that to my kids. So you need to identify what your real goals are. If your goals really are to write to the tween and teen readership, then you need to make sure that the message is clear in the books. And then you're identifying, okay, I cannot target them, but I can target their parents and I can target teachers and I can target librarians and I can target book clubs and I can target, right? All of these things, grandparents, aunts, uncles. Are you looking for the best Christmas present? Are you looking for a great birthday present? It really is a great way to get those readers out there. And there's a ton of them. There's a ton. So always do Kindle Fire because most of those kids at that age have Fires. And so they too are getting the ads coming across their Fires. So they can take them to their parents. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Like my son is constantly like, I just got this thing on my phone or on YouTube or on something. Like always, can I have this thing? Yeah. All the time.
Yeah, all the time. And it's like, what is it? Yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, we'll get that. That's fine. It got your attention. I'm good with it. But most of the books and stuff come through my feed. And I'm like, yeah, I want this for my kids to read. I bought a series and they weren't interested and I read it. So it was fine.
I love it.
It paid off just fine. Yeah.
Worth it.
Worth it. So worth it. But yeah, that's who you target really with those is you target the people with the money. Tweens and teens don't have money.
Right.
They just don't. So, yeah.
And if they do, they're hoarding it for like their car or their like motorcycle or something.
Or their Xbox. What is that?
Or their computer that they're building.
Yeah,
like, what?
Yeah. What is this? When I was a kid, I was that age. I was like fighting over the Otter Pops. I wasn't saving up cash for, like
I was fighting over who's going to bring me to the bookstore.
Yeah. Nice. Exactly. Well, we had the library right next door. So I was like, hey,
nice.
I lived there. Yeah. It was good.
That would have been awesome. Yeah. I did not live that close to the library.
It was
too
good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So what metrics could authors be checking out to know whether or not their ads are actually working? Like I know it's kind of a big question because there's many different ad platforms, but are there specific metrics that you keep an eye on, like when you're looking at them? Yeah.
So I run ads on like most of the platforms and the metrics that I look at are CPC. CPC goes up or down based on your messaging. It really does. The CPC will actually go up on Facebook if your audience is not really engaging on it. If you're not getting a lot of clicks and likes and stuff, which again shows engagement and like, I guess, appropriateness for that or relevance. Another one is a CTR. If your CTR is not higher than okay, so for Amazon, it's 0.10 and Facebook, it's 10%. They just didn't do their stupid percentage mix in there, but it's essentially the same thing. If you're not getting 1 click out of every 100 impressions, then there's something wrong with your targeting. And it's always the targeting. Everybody's like, oh no, my ads look this way. It doesn't matter what your ads look like. Really, it doesn't. It just needs to be eye-catching. You can just do a book cover. So if your message is accurate and it's going to the right people, you should be hitting at least a 10% or a 0.10% on AMS. You should be hitting that across those platforms, right? Like you should be. And then there's going to be things where it's like the CTR, which is click-through ratio, but there's also like the CPR, which is cost per result. So that's really what you're looking at as a cost per result. CPC is cost per click. And in Facebook, that's going to be charging you whether you hit like or share or comment or read more or whatever. So you're still getting charged. But when you look at CPR, then what you're looking at is, oh, okay, my result that I said I want is to get to the website. What's my actual result there? So that tells you that's a really great metric. But those ones are the most important ones that you're looking at on each ad platform. Your impressions on AMS and Facebook tell you if they're even going to give you the time of day. If Facebook is not giving you impressions on that ad, they don't want to show it. And it's because of something that the bots have decided is not what any audience wants to see. Usually you can force Facebook to spend money because they're like a teenage kid, right? They're going to spend all the money, but they actually won't show impressions. So yeah, those are the ones that I look at. CPC, CPR, and CTR. Those are the main ones.
Is there a specific range that you typically try to keep within for the click-through rate then? Like the actual rate?
The click-through, I really like to see it above 10%. But if you're looking at like, that's true CTR. That's when they're actually clicking through. But the CTR that I like, that I'll accept anything above 4%, because that's the one where they're clicking like, they're clicking engage, they're clicking, right? So they're actually taking that into account. So I'll take that 4% above if the CPC is low enough. I'm not looking at anything over 24 cents unless I'm getting higher conversions. Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
So that's Facebook. AMS, I won't pay for anything higher than 89 cents. Refuse to. Okay. In fact, I actually reach out to their customer support and I throw a fit for any of my clients where AMS will be like, oh, well, we decided to put up to $1.06. That's not what we agreed to. We agreed to this much money. This is what I put in there. And dynamic up and down means you're going to double that. So if I'm giving you 46 cents and you're putting me at what is that? 92 cents. That's fine. I've agreed to 92 cents. I have not agreed to $1.06. And so I actually go to bat with them constantly. I'm constantly in there. I think they hate hearing from me because I'm like, we agreed to this much. This is how much you charged me. I'm expecting a refund in the next 2 weeks of this much money. And I am horrible about it. Like I'm mean. And they're like, yep, they finally got to the point where they're like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, we'll send it. We'll make sure you get your refund. A couple times they've tried saying, no, you agreed to it. No, I did not. And I have screenshots showing what my default bid is set at. So don't even go up in there.
That's a really interesting thing. It's like, oh gosh, guys, are you watching those things?
Something else to watch for AMS is they have bots that will randomly turn on ads that have previously been paused. So
seriously?
This is a thing. It really is a thing. I go in once or twice a week on all of my AMS ad clients and I look through their stuff to make sure nothing's been turned on because it just randomly turns crap on. It's horrible. And I've heard so many people say, oh, no, it doesn't. I have a $500 bill that says it does that I got from them. And I had turned off all of my ads, all of my AMS ads, because I was going through a whole rebranding thing. This is about a year ago. And I turned them off. I remember I turned them off because I reached out to one of my friends and I was like, hey, I'm just letting you know, I wrote it in my Facebook message. I was like, yeah, I'm turning off all my AMS ads. I'm going for a reset. I'm going to do a 2-week reset. Those ads, every single one of them was on and spending at the high spent. And it was about $498. And I threw the biggest fit.
I was going to say, did you get refunded on that?
Yeah. I sent them all my screenshots. I was like, these are the dates when I said I was turning stuff off. This is when I turned it off. And they were like, oh, I'm not sure what happened. And it happens a lot. A lot of people don't understand that it really does happen a lot. I've heard people say, oh, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Oh, that is I would spend a lot of time fixing it. So yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy.
One of the things that I've noticed a lot, and I don't know if I'm just seeing things that I'm analytical, but I don't have the time to dig into it probably the way that you do, where it's like, I have the Advantage dashboard. I know authors, I'm so sorry that it's not available to us anymore, but like I will have something where it'll go, oh, you sold, I don't know, $200 worth this day. And then you go and look at any of your records in your sales and it's like nowhere near that.
Right.
It's like, what in the world? How, who are they selling crap for? And it's obviously not my books, or if it is, they're not giving me information for all of my books. Yeah.
You're right. So here's what's going on. So one, I don't believe that we are getting, this is my conspiracy theorist side. Yes, I don't believe that we are getting, I don't believe that we're getting accurate sales information. That's just, it's too hard to say. And we've had people ask them for audits. They don't do it. It's fine. But let's say barring that, when you go into AMS or you go into Advantage, you get marked. So if someone clicks on your ad and they go to your book and then they click to another book that's not an ad, but they click maybe book 2, or they click on someone's in the also bots or whatever. If they click on something else, you get the credit for the sale, even though it's not your book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. So you'll be like an advantage and you're like, oh yeah, I'm sending this to this person. And they go to your landing page and they see just below, oh, this is also, I see this other book I want to click on. And that's what happens. And then they're like, oh yeah,
Gotcha.
you got a sale. No, you didn't get a sale. What's
Yeah.
unfortunate is with AMS ads, we don't get to say what our actual result is. We don't get to say, I want it to count only results of my book sales or my product sales. It actually will just count any sale. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. Too many people actually follow their dashboards on AMS. They need to be looking at something like Author Helper Suite, right? Where it shows
Yep.
you how much you're making, how much you've spent on ads, what's clicking, what's not. That's what we should be looking at instead of the ACOS or, the attribution tags. Oh, don't get me started on the attribution tags. There's
It'd be
no
so fun to put
logical.
you and Mal in a room together and have you go at it.
Oh, does Mal like attribution tags? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she's
hilarious.
been like teaching it and helping authors understand how they work. And I'm just like, who do I talk? Like who? What?
Well, I'm coming at it from a very distrusting mentality.
Yeah.
So I actually clicked on my attribution tag 150 times to test it. And I was getting bored. I was like, this is boring. And my kid was like, Mom, you're only at 110 or 111. And I was like, oh, okay, tell me what I get, So I got to 150 and it says that they have a 7-day attribution in the attribution tags, for 7 days, it's behind by 7 days, whatever. It never once showed me 150. It showed me 61. That's as high as that link got. And I clicked on it and it wasn't like click, 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 click. So it could miss it. Yep. It was click. Okay. It went through and it logged it. Okay. Click, went through and logged it. And I did it 150 times and made sure it worked. And 61. So when we're seeing, this is why I don't like the attribution tags. I don't trust them because authors are using affiliate tags, right? They were, and we're not supposed to, but we still did it and they were still getting paid out. So we know that we weren't getting accurate information in there because they have to pay us money. We know this. When you're selling 10 of them to yourself and it only logs one, you know for sure, right? Like you're like, okay, why would they give us better information with another tag that's not paying us, but they're giving us better information? What they're doing is they're actually data mining off of your information using specific attribution tags, right? Sure. So I just don't believe that they're giving us all the information. That's just, but see, that's me. I'm very mistrusting of companies and corporations. I don't believe that our best interest is in their hearts at all.
Right,
so
right. Well, it's kind of another push towards like selling directly to your own store, like getting off of the platforms where you're trying to send all of the traffic to these specific sites. I mean, people could still choose to go to Amazon if you send them direct. You could give them that link and that opportunity. But at least if they land on your site first and you have a better experience or something that's really interesting to them, now all of a sudden they interact with you and you have that data, right? Because it's more clean data.
Yeah, it's huge. And it's in more than just one spot. It's not just like Google, honestly, is not making money off of anybody landing on your site, right? Like they're giving you data. Amazon makes money based on if somebody lands on your site and where they go and who they show and they adjust all their landing pages. I completely agree with you. I am a huge supporter right now of direct sales. I think controlling your business is a big deal. I'm seeing so many people right now, some of them that I just love. We have a free Facebook group for Finding Your Indie. And a lot of people come in there and they're like, I'm just looking for a reason. I have 100, like this one really great lady. I've been friends with her forever. And she's like, I have 100 books out and I'm not scaling. I'm not making any more money than I was when I had 10 books out. And this is suppression of its worst form, right? Like, why aren't you making more money? And she put books out consistently, same kind of book. I mean, the message is clear. I could sell book 10 using the same message that she put on book 1 of 100, 99, like that's, so when you see that, it's like, man, we got to get out from underneath these thumbs of these corporations who are keeping us squashed because we don't know how much they're selling. We have no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. My husband and I have talked about that a lot. And we're totally down the conspiracy rabbit hole when we get like going as well. Cause we're very skeptical because we see patterns and we're looking at different things and we're just like, this is not adding up. Some of these things are not, this is not adding up.
Yep. No, you're right. I have a friend who totally believes that when you hit a specific tier of sales or income, Amazon won't let you go any higher, regardless of if you actually are going higher or not. Now, this guy's a programmer. So he's like, it's very easy to do that inside of a program. And people don't realize now you can push and push yourself to the next tier. But how much did it cost you? And how much is it going to cost you to stay there? So, I mean, I completely agree with you. The skepticism is healthy. Everybody's like, oh, Amazon's the best thing ever. No, none of them are the best thing ever. Not even going direct is not the best thing ever. We have to constantly be thinking and being mindset of how can I be independent? How can I push myself and keep my readers happy, which is ultimately what the goal is, right?
I love that. Yeah, Katie was talking about that too. Katie Cross, when she
Yeah.
came on the show, she was talking about that's her mindset first. Is like, is this going to benefit the readers? Is this going to be in their best interest? Are they going to enjoy this? And so if it's going to, enhance their experience, then she goes for it. And if it doesn't, then she's like, why am I bothering with that? No, the answer is no.
Yeah.
It's so
Love
smart.
that.
Yeah, me too.
That's a great mindset.
So do you have a time frame or how often authors should be actually checking their ad dashboards or checking to see whether or not their ads are working and then make tweaks?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Of course I do. I do.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. Of course I have a formula. There's a formula for everything.
I love it.
Amazon ads, I usually say start those suckers with a lower bid. Anybody who puts like $1.50 or whatever, that's just crazy. You should not be spending that. I'm pretty conservative when it comes to money spend. So it's like, let's rein it in a little bit. So when you're starting out your AMS ads, you put you're comfortable losing $5 a day, targeting with $5 a day. That's $150 on an ad in a month. So if you're like, yeah, okay, I'm comfortable with that, walk away, start the ad and walk away. You don't touch it for 30 days. You don't look at it. There's no need for it. Once you go back in 30 days, then you can start doing your tweaking and your culling and your adjusting or whatever. That's fine. Facebook, people hate my answer, 7 days. You start that ad. If you know what you're doing, you should know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, then you should not be spending money, right?
Right. Yes.
If you don't know what you're doing, why are you driving the car? If you don't know what you're doing, why are you, really,
Yeah.
why are you playing with fire? You don't even know what you're doing. So if you don't know what you're doing with your ads, then you should not be spending money. However, if you do know what you're doing, and I'm not saying be an expert level, but if you know how to set up an ad and you know your targeting, you know your message, all the things, $5 a day, walk away for 7 days. Don't touch it. That should be your testing period. Once you know you're testing and you get into the 7 days, you're like, okay, now I can check and see what's my income look like? What does my CTR look like? What is my CPC? Because you set it at $5. You're not going to lose more than the $7 a day. Facebook will put you like $6 on Friday and $4 on Thursday. Ultimately, in 7 days, you're not going to spend more than the $5 a day on that average, right? And so many people would be like, oh my gosh, it's day 2 and I haven't made my money back. You're not going to. You're not going to make your money back in the first few days like that. If you plan on that, then it's cake after that. So let's say you go 7 days without touching your Facebook ads. Then you're going to go every 3 days and kind of check and see, am I going to double or am I doubling my income? If I'm doubling my investment, if I've doubled my investment, let's say $5 and before I wasn't making any money or whatever. So $5, I'm at least making $10 more, right? Okay. Then I know that I'm in a good place where I can actually start to scale. And you can only scale so much though, because at some point you're going to hit a diminishing return. You're just going to. So scale slowly. Maybe don't even touch that specific ad, but duplicate that ad and add $5, so you're not messing with those metrics. Because Facebook is a jerk and likes young things. And I call it the Leonardo DiCaprio. It likes the young ads, but you also get punished. Like if you start an ad on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you might get weekend CPC. And that sucks. CPC on the weekends is high. CPC started in November and December, super high. If you're getting shown to specific audiences based on when you start, like Thursday nights, you start an ad on Thursday night. It's really weird because it gets through the review process by Friday morning and it hits the learning phase on the weekend. So you have weekend activity expected on Tuesday. So it's really it's one of those things where it's kind of like, am I aware of what I'm doing? Am I comfortable doing that, making those changes? If you're not, you always have to be thinking, when is this going to show? Well, I want it to show to the Tuesday audience, but on Friday. I want it to show at the Tuesday cost on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a lot of information.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense to me. And it seems like when you start a new ad too, if you were to wait, or if you were to make any decisions based off of the first couple of days, those CPCs are typically higher as it's trying to learn everything that it's doing anyway. Yeah.
Yep. You're exactly right.
Yeah. It'll eventually level itself back out and be
Hopefully,
fine. But
right? Yeah.
I mean, ideally, right?
Yeah. And another thing to note for people who are doing ads, Facebook just changed their algorithm again. So refreshing requirements used to be between 6 and 8 weeks. Now you're looking at 4. So you need to be checking 4 weeks. Is your frequency up? Is your CPC starting to creep up? If those 2 things are happening, and frequency, I'd like to keep it below 5. I'm not going to get butthurt if I'm at 4 because usually I'm touching the sweet spot and I'm really getting seen again. And,
Sure.
the marketing marketing quota of, hey, you need to touch on people a few times before they actually buy. So, but when that CPC starts to creep up at the same time, then it's time to refresh. And all you need to do for a refresh is duplicate the ad, start it again, make sure it's the same day that you started the ad the last time, and then keep everything else going. So it's going to be a $5 investment or whatever whatever it is, 10, 20, 40. And you're going to let that sit for a couple of days, and then you'll pause the original ad if everything's starting to trend upward. So that's how you refresh it. That's nice and easy. And if not, Facebook's like, oh, this is an old ad. We won't look at it again. It's fine.
Right.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Like
it's
no
terrible.
no one wants to see this thing anymore.
Yes. It has wrinkles. It's just not working.
It's
yeah.
Like, rude. Oh gosh. Okay. So what's the biggest mindset shift you believe that authors need to have when it comes to successfully marketing and advertising their books? Like, is there a specific mindset they need to put on their thinking cap and really kind of incorporate?
Yeah. Yeah. I think biggest thing is that people think that marketing immediately should turn around and give you, like in your advertising, should immediately turn around and give you the dollar return. But you need to ask yourself, what is my goal here? So if your goal is to get readers, right, to sign up, like say for your newsletter, right, for a magnet, if your goal is to get readers, you're not going to see a dollar return, are you? Not for a little while. So what are your goals? Well, my goal is to get 15 signups a day for newsletter subscribers. Am I hitting that goal? Then that is where it's making it, that's where, yes, this is making sense. If it's not, what do I need to do to tweak it? Or maybe I need to adjust my goals. Goals are so important to have. So many people are like, oh no, I just put the money up and I just want to see my money go up. I spend all the money and it's hitting the walls and I'm just expecting this. And that's not the best way to really approach any business decision. Even what books you're going to write. Like if you're writing books because it makes you happy and it's fluffy and feely, and I think I'm going to write a cat romance and over here I'm going to write sci-fi adventure and it's all under the same pen name, you're probably thinking with your heart and not with your head. So this is kind of funny, but I tell my boys to keep the head away and to actually think with their minds.
Yeah.
Because you have boys. They do not think all the way, the smart ways, all the ways.
Right.
All the ways. So it's like, hey, look, you are going to go this way instead. You're going to think with your mind. You're going to logic it out. You're going to rational it out. And if your goal actually sounds like a solid goal, then that's probably something that's going to be great for you to do. So like, let's say for your rom-coms, let's say you're like, I want to write the rom-coms because they make me feel good. And I'm like, oh, do you want to make money with it? And you're like, nah, I don't care about the money. Well, great. Then you don't have to have a happily ever after. You don't have to have humor. You can do whatever you want with your rom-coms. Like, you're right. Like you can do whatever you want.
You have to advertise. It's cool.
Yeah. Don't do nothing. You don't have to post it up. You're just writing it for your own happiness. But if you're like coming in and you're saying, Bonnie, yeah, I want to make money with this. What do I do? And you want me to market for you. I'm going to say, you have tropes to hit. You have cover requirements to hit. You have blurb requirements to hit. You have a whole length requirements. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff just to hit with just the book. Now then we're going to start talking about the marketing side of it. Like, where are your readers? Are they on TikTok? Is it a steamy book? They're most likely on TikTok and or Facebook, right? Like there's a whole slew of things to keep in mind. But if you don't know what your goal is from the outset, you're not going to know where you're going. You're just going to start walking around in circles, right? Like it's kind of a sad mentality to be in. What am I doing this for? Oh, I'm writing memoirs for my kids, but I actually really like it. So now I think I'm going to sell them all and write, Space Jam stuff. I don't know. I don't even know what to come up with for a weird genre, like dinosaur porn. Like, I don't even know, like whatever, write whatever you want, and you do you, but have a goal in mind. That's how I ended up with 14 pen names. It's ridiculous, right? Like, oh, I want to write this because I apparently have ADD and I like all the things, and squirrel, I can't put it under that pen name because I know I'm a marketing person and I know better than that. I know better, and I still did it. So yeah, that's what the mindset.
Immune, right?
Yeah, we're not immune. No, we do the crap to ourselves. So I think that's the biggest mindset thing is, do you have a goal and are you willing to take the steps to do it? And if you're writing something just for the fun of it, do it, because that's what we're all doing, right? We're trying to have fun. But if it doesn't fit your brand or something, then don't expect that to be. Then don't expect that to be your moneymaker, right? But you're doing, and I love that. I love what you said. You're like, I have my urban fantasy over here. I'm tired of writing urban fantasy for right now. I'm kind of burnt out. You still have a solid catalog. You still have a solid backlist. It's not like you're abandoning the pen name. You're just opening yourself up to something new. And you're like, I'm doing a new pen name with my rom-coms, and this is where I'm gonna sit at. I think that's brilliant, because you're acknowledging that you're tired. You're acknowledging that you need something fresh, but you're also acknowledging that, hey, I'm not going to make any cash with this if I do them all under the same name.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's like the audiences are so different that it's just like, I don't want to confuse anybody or confuse algorithms or any of that nonsense. It's like,
Right. Are
okay,
you
keep
going
them
to go
separate.
direct with them?
I
With
am.
both?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you don't have to worry about algorithms.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Well, with right now, the urban fantasy, I have about, I think there's 3 of my series that are in KU still, but I'm looking at transitioning them out. I haven't pulled that trigger yet, but I'm definitely thinking about it. I'm kind of like on that teeter-totter right now where it's like, I want to know how Shopify works. And if I like it, then I would probably do it. And I would have to like, strategic is one of my top 5. And so I would have to like plan the strategy for like how I would do it and how it would look. And if I, all the things.
Yeah.
So
all the things.
It's there, but it's also in the middle of me trying to build this new pen name. And so I'm like, okay, logistically is now the right time to be trying to pull everything I've ever done down and try to do, probably not. Okay. Let's figure this out. So yeah, I don't even know. Jenny's always like, do something different. And I'm like, Jenny, for crying out loud.
Give me a break. I'm trying to breathe here.
Right. She used to tell me all the time. She's like, no new projects, just finish this one. Now she's like, do this thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cause there's potential, right? There's so much to do. So what you could do with your shop, well, if you were going to try Shopify is, do a couple box sets and hammer out, get those up and see just minimally viable, right? So just try minimally viable thing. And I know that's what Morgana teaches on some of, I've heard her say that on some of the like Morgana Best. I don't know if you know.
Yep.
Yeah. So she said that on a couple podcasts and interviews that I've seen, and she's like, minimally viable, get them up, just get things going. So
I love that. That's a really good idea too.
I know, right?
I know. It's like all the things. It'd be so cool. And for me, I would like, my highest strength is relator. So I love that idea of like pulling everything in and having it kind of exclusive and having this idea. So I'm like, I'm this close. I really am. I'm so close to pulling.
You're closer.
I know. Every day I get a little bit closer and I'm just like, oh, and it's like, I love the idea of, the Kickstarters and having like this big launch event and oh man, it's all the things.
But doesn't it feel more exciting? Like I'm more excited. I was so burnt out. I'm like, I don't want to write anymore. And I've just been like, I don't even care if I do this anymore because the income just has stayed the same. I have 200 assets out under a 14 pen names and my income stayed the same with my books. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Knowing what I know about ads, knowing all the things, I should be nailing this. And then I was like, you know what? And then when I saw Katie Cross and I've been thinking about direct sales for a while and I was like, maybe I should. Then I saw her thing at Inkers and I was like, okay, I could do this. I really could do this. Then it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited again. And I'm going to be writing for me, right? Like I'm writing to put money in my pocket and to put really great books in my readers' hands. And that was a mind shift right there. Like a whole mindset adjustment, which was great.
It is, because when you're putting it out to the, the aggregators and to the stores and doing all the things, it's almost like you're putting it into their hands and hoping that it goes well. Where when it's in your own thing, now all of a sudden you have this opportunity to create some cool new things that go along with it, the merch that can go along with that, get the fandom thing going. It's like all sorts of new opportunities pop up and you're just like, oh man, I could really make this more fun.
More fun, right? For everybody. And isn't that why we started writing? Because we loved it and we really like making the worlds and, oh, they fell in love. Oh, I'm crying. Or, oh, I just killed people. One of my pen names is an apocalyptic thriller. And I keep telling people, if you don't straighten up, I'm going to kill you in one of my books. And I tell my kids that all the time, straighten up. I've killed my mother-in-law 17 times. So it's fine. Like, I do that with everybody. Like you'll end up dead kind of a thing, So
I love it.
And to be honest, I love my mother-in-law. It's just, you just put things in. It's just hilarious. My brother, I don't even know how many times he's died, but it's like, like I will kill you. The milkman, I'm going to kill you, like all the things. And so I even saw this meme where this person was like, in a therapist's chair or something, and the therapist, okay, what do you do when you get mad at someone? And the writer was like, I kill them in a scene. And the therapist goes, no. And the guy goes, taking notes. He's like taking notes because I was like, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. Cause I feel like that. Okay. You've irritated me. You're dead. But that's what's fun, right? Like it's fun. And that's what I miss. And I think a lot of authors are feeling that way. A lot of authors are feeling the sting and the bite of this dinosaur mentality of we can only go through these aggregators, these retailers, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's like, hey, I'm in charge of my own crap, dude. And with so many people doing it, like Brandon Sanderson, and we have a lot of authors out there now who are starting to go direct and they're starting to get the readers used to this mentality. Yeah. And I think that is phenomenal. That's what we need. We need people, we need more to do it. And someone else was like, oh no, I have to do it before everybody else and all the competition. I was like, this is not a zero-sum game. Your
Yeah,
readers are not going to be the same as mine, but we can train them to enjoy buying directly from us. Like that's
right.
what we need. And so the more authors that we have doing this, the more the readers are doing it. And that's huge. That's
I
huge.
agree. Well, and I think in some senses, this younger generation, as they're getting older, are getting used to that because like they grew up on YouTube and they like have all these YouTube stars that they follow and they want to get like Mr. Beast's burgers and they want to get, this
Oh my
person's
gosh.
thing. So it's like they're already used to buying the thing directly from the creator they love. Right. And
Yes.
it's
Good
like
point.
it's starting. Like
It's starting. It's a thing. I mean, it really is a thing. And yeah, I'm kind of done lining Amazon's pockets, to be honest. And I
Yeah.
see across my feed, I don't know if you see this, Carissa, a lot, but I see it a lot where people are like, my Amazon account just got shut down. And
I've
I'm
seen a
like,
lot. Yeah, in the groups for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I'm like, wait, what? Why is this a thing? Why is this allowed? I don't understand how this is okay. But it's the same thing I say to my ad people. I'll add people. If you're running ads, you're renting the audience. That's all you're doing. You're renting
Sure.
them. So when we're on Amazon or we're on Drafted Digital, which I love Drafted Digital, if you're on the wide retailers like Kobo, Apple, whatever, if you're on there, you're renting space. That's it. You're renting a storefront. So you're in the mall. But if you're at your own place, it's like, hey, come over here. I bought the place. It's my place. Come to hang out at my place,
Right.
I think it's great. So
do you like dice?
yeah. Sorry,
I like dice. Come over here.
I know. Come over here. Sorry, this totally turned from marketing and ads into direct sales.
Hey, it's both because I think it's so important. I mean, I've been talking about this on the podcast a bit where it's like, when we started this year, I really felt like AI was going to be the transformational thing that authors were dealing with, but it's turned out to be direct sales because so many authors are transitioning with it. And maybe they're using AI as a tool to be able to help them do it. But really, this has become, in my mind, the bigger game changer than even just AI. It's been so phenomenal. I love it so much. It's great.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm using AI for audiobooks right now for a lot of my audiobook narration.
Love it.
11, the one that I found is really good. It sounds like a real person, and I'm putting my voice in right now and it sounds like me. So
Wow. Which one is that?
It's 11 AI or 11 labs.ai or something like that, but they're a little pricey, but they're really good. And so I've been using them, and you have to, like, there's a little bit of a process. You get the MP3 down and then you have to like transfer it and whatever. But using BookFunnel to deliver that, it's phenomenal. It's just, and I can make it cheap, right? Like I'm not paying $5,000 for a narrator. And to be honest, I love narrators. So if I could get audiobooks making some money, I would invest in getting them narrated. But for me, I just haven't been able to get into the audiobook niche, right? Because it's been $30 for an audiobook. And I write sweet romances, and they're usually older people who don't have that kind of an income. So I'm like, hey, why not do an audiobook for $6, $5.99, and it's affordable. So
yeah, for
all
sure.
the options.
Well, and I love that. And you could always down the road have a different version, like an actual narrated version. I mean, Joanna Penn talks about that all the time. They're different products.
Yes.
Yeah. So
you're right. Very different. And like I said, I'll be narrating my own stuff. My readers keep asking me for it. So I'm like, yeah, I can start doing that though. If I see an actual interest in audiobooks,
because why not just add one more thing on your plate? It's great.
Why not, Carissa? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Miss, I'm adding another pen name.
Right. I totally get it. It's like, why not? Sure. Let's do one more thing.
Why not? Who needs sleep? It's overrated.
It is totally overrated. Says the woman that's like, I need my 8 hours. I'm not staying up and watching another episode of Ted Lasso, honey. No.
Where my kids are making me rewatch TVD for like the 9 billionth time, which I love it.
Goodness.
So I'm all on it. Have you seen it, TVD?
I have not seen that one. No, but I've heard it's really good.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Vampire Diaries will teach. I think every author should watch Vampire Diaries, because I'm one of those people who's like, no, the book is always better. The book is always better. Not in this case. I was a huge LJ Smith fan. I got her book in 93, the series when it first came out, the first 3 books, and then the 4th one came out. And then she like passed away. And so they started like writing them. There's like 14 books in it now, 13, 14. Anyways, so I was like, this is the best book ever, best series ever. Never, ever will I ever stray from this idea of vampires. And I didn't until I saw the video. I saw the show, and I was like, okay, Elena Gilbert's supposed to be blonde. What's going on? And I fell in love with the series. I will not read the books now because I'm like, no, the series was done so well. The character arcs, the series arc, there's no boring parts. The entire series was just done so well. So for storytelling, I'm always telling people, if you want to learn how to do storytelling right and how to do a character arc right, TVD series, hands down.
I love it. See, and I've seen episodes here and there, but I haven't seen the whole thing. Like, oh, okay.
Do it.
Okay, I'll have to talk to my husband about it. Because we love,
my
I
husband
loved,
likes
I loved
it.
Buffy. I loved Buffy. He loved Buffy. So
Yes.
it's like, it's kind of in our like
Hey,
wheelhouse. It's great.
yes, it
Yeah.
is. You guys would, so my husband even likes it. And he's a guy who likes, I like Axemen. I like,
Nice.
I don't even know what they're
The
called. Like
boys.
Axemen.
Like the
Yeah, the boy
boys.
shows, like Wilderness, Alaska, the Last Frontier or whatever. Like he likes those. And he's watching it with us. So
That's
yeah, we're all
awesome.
addicted to TVD. So it's gross though. There are hearts ripped out. Just warning you.
I totally understand that one. Oh yeah. Yeah. We were
It's
just
good.
watching From, and that one's pretty gross too, but it's good. It's a good
It is
show.
good. It
Yeah. It's like
is.
Lost with the next generation.
Yes.
And it's
Oh,
even got the guy that played Michael in from Lost. So it's great.
does it really? Wait. Okay. And now I got to go back and watch it because I don't remember him being in it, but it's been a while since
Yeah.
Lost. So,
Yeah,
okay. Now I have to watch all the things.
like the main character, the sheriff, is actually from Lost.
Okay. Yes. Now I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
But then maybe I need to watch Lost again just for fun
Right. Because that was a good show too.
because I've got time.
Right. Because why not? Just
Why not?
slip it in
do
there somewhere.
more?
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Okay. One more question before we go.
Okay.
So advertising is obviously daunting for a lot of newbie authors. And this was a question
Mhm.
I had from my audience. Do you have any advice if they're just newbies, they're just getting started, like what platform should they tiptoe in understanding first? Or should they start with strategy first? Or what would you recommend? Okay.
Yes, strategy first. So here's my thing on that. If you are a new author, you need to come into this with the mentality of, are your books good? Not just, yeah, they're good. Are they good? Because you want to float to the cream. There's 14 million books right now on Amazon. You're just throwing your book up with everybody else's. So you need to be able to say, okay, for instance, I'm going to write YA bully romance. I have the next 3 series planned out in my head. So this is the mentality you need to have. I'm going to work on book 1. Then I'm going to work on book 2. And I'm going to put up, when I'm starting to work on book 3, I'll put book 1 out, book 2 out on pre-order, and book 3 up on pre-order, right? So then have the plan that you're going to release a box set in, say, 6 months. Okay. And let's say that you have this whole thing all ready to go. And then you're like, and I know I'm going to be working on this next series. And then I'm going to be working on the next series. So once you have that strategy in mind of what your production schedule is, then it's a lot easier to be like, okay, now I'm going to start pushing this, and I'm going to start pushing this, and I'm going to start Facebook ads on book 1 and to the box set when that's ready to come out. I'm going to start the pre-order push. I'm going to start my newsletter. Your newsletter should be the first thing that you're working on ever, period, ever. So if you have all these books and you're like, oh, what do? You write a magnet and you can run ads to your magnet if that's what you want to do. You can share it with people, do the book funnel promos, do all the things, but get that newsletter list started. Because let's say we have people listening to us today and they're like, oh, I don't care about direct sales. I'm in KU, I'm hardcore, or I don't care about direct sales. That's too hard for me. I just want to do wide, right? That's all they want to do. And that's great. But that is listening to us right now might change their mind in a year, might change their mind in 2 years. And then what do you have? You've got audiences that you borrowed from KU and wide, but you don't have them retained anywhere. You don't have them on a newsletter. You don't have them in your Facebook group. You don't have them anywhere because you've had this mentality of, I'm just going to be in KU or I'm just going to be wide. So you always need to be looking ahead. What do I want to do? Well, you can do whatever you want if you own your own newsletter list. So that's the first thing you should be working on.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So then you want to talk about ads? Awesome. Let's talk about ads. Let's talk about your different marketing stuff. But until you have your newsletter list started, I actually just kind of got into a thing with the client and I was like, you are not even letting me push your newsletter list. And she goes, Bonnie, I don't want to tell you this, but I don't have a newsletter list. And I was like, what? That's one of the first questions I asked. And you told me you had a list. She was, I lied.
Oh,
oh my gosh. We worked together for 3 months and you lied to me. I felt so dirty. Like I felt used. I was like, this is really, I don't understand what's happening right now. Like, what is going on? Like, no, right? This is not okay.
Did I skip dimensions? Like, what's happening?
I know. Yes. Like she's making like $25,000 a month. I mean, this is not a small author, but there's no newsletter list. I'm like, okay, we're stopping your ads until you get a newsletter list. I was like, this is ridiculous. So newsletter list, get your newsletter list, treat them like your friends. If you have that in place, then you can start to really stress about it. Somebody who's doing a really good job at this, Becky's, I'm going to say her last name wrong, Svar. I'm going to say it wrong. She's a brand new author and she just released her first rom-com and she did it smart, man. She's been doing TikToks for it. She's been working on her newsletter. She's been networking like crazy. She's got book 2 getting ready to come out. She has done it smart. I am just like, wow. Like, I've just been floored by the way she's been doing this. Brand new author, just kind of taking her time and doing everything right. And so I was like, you're the what to do, these days, because back when you and I started, Carissa, it was like, yeah, you could throw a book up and make some money. It wasn't a big deal, but now it's not like that anymore. So
for sure. And it definitely gets more tricky, like as everything goes on. Yeah. It's like what worked, 6 months ago or 3 months ago sometimes isn't working. And then you have to try to pivot and you're trying to go, why is this not working right?
Yeah, exactly. And some people are still lost in 5 years ago when it was like the whole 20 books mentality of 99 cents release and $10,000 spend on the week. Like that's not the mentality. You can't do that anymore.
Well, and it's not like you're going to hit a list anymore either. So it's like, why would you do that?
Right. Although I did see USA Today looks like they're back.
Are they?
Yeah. I was like out for like 2 days, but I don't know if they're allowing indies on or not. I don't know. I'll let you know, but that's what I saw. I'll see if I can find the article and send it to you.
Oh, I totally missed that. I would love to see that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I was like, what just happened? What?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold the presses.
Yeah. Like time warp. What's going on? Like whatever. So yeah,
it's been a weird year when it comes to all that stuff for sure.
Just a weird year. Weird everything. Weird decade. It's crazy.
It really has been. It really has been fun in some ways, but definitely weird.
Definitely weird. Not expected.
Goodness.
That's funny.
Well, Bonnie, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing so many insights. I mean, we had a lot of questions to cover, and I was like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to make it happen. Thankfully, you talk as fast as I do. Yeah. I love it.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. You're just a delight. I think you are just a sweetheart. So thank you for letting me come on here with you.
Thank you for sure. Now, before we go though, can you give my audience some quick resources on how they can learn more about you, your courses, what you offer, and obviously more about your team if you want to be able to share that as well?
Yeah, great. Thanks. So I'm with Indie Marketing Mastery with John and Joe, with John Slogson and Joe Solari. And you can go to indiemarketingmastery.com. I also have Finding Your Indie. We have a YouTube channel where we give tons of, we do ad account audits, spotlights. We actually do tons of YouTube, tons of Facebook, just all marketing tips and stuff on Mondays. And then we also have a free Facebook group, and it's the Finding Your Indie Marketing. I don't even know what it's called. Forget it. It's Finding Your Indie something or other. I don't know. And then we have
Finding Your Indie and Bonnie Paulson.
Yeah, right. Like all the things. I don't even know what it's called. Just whatever. We have tons of stuff. But yeah, we have some courses, and we have HiveMind, which is actually a really great monthly resource where it's a Facebook group, but you have access to all of our courses and any upcoming courses. And then it's kind of like a one-on-one consult. We're actually doing a Zoom meeting today for the HiveMind group. So we can actually talk about questions they have about ads and is my brand working right? What's my message and all the things. So that's good. That's really fun. And then I have Boss Mode launching, and I'll probably send you a link and give you more information about that. But Boss Mode is launching at the end of August. And that's actually where I teach people how to create their own ad and marketing strategies. And it's super intense, but it's really good. So
I love it.
It's helpful.
So how will it differ then from IMM?
So IMM is actually the overall look at everything, right? So it tells you how to straighten out your foundations and how to get your message completely wrangled the correct way, and how to identify your audience and how to run your ads and all of it, right?
Right.
Boss Mode is literally just what are you going to plan for the next quarter for your marketing, for your advertising? What are you doing for promotions? What are you doing? And I teach how to do it so that everything's already planned and scheduled before the 3 months even starts. So then you can just walk away and you can go and do your writing and do your other stuff, because you and I have a billion other things, and I guarantee most other authors are working on a billion other things. So this is one way to wrangle that and to really make sure that you know what you're doing and you have it all planned out, so there's no stress during the quarter. So it's actually awesome. Yeah.
Love it.
Thanks. It's good.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Bonnie. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. You too. And I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
See, didn't I tell you needed to have some coffee or something, like headphones, and just be paying attention, because the two of us, when we get going, oh man, we talk fast. And I love it. I love when I can actually have a conversation with someone and they can keep up at my speed, because most of the time it's usually them trying to keep up with me. But I'll tell you, I was trying to keep up with Bonnie. She was incredible. The amount of knowledge and insights and obvious expertise about what she's talking about is very, very profound and very much easy to pick out as you're listening to her answers, right? So if you want to check out Indie Marketing Mastery, I will make sure that there's a link into the show notes. I think actually as of right now, they have reopened the doors. So if you're interested in getting into that particular course where Bonnie and Joe Solari and John are all working together to help you create a very effective marketing strategy. Check it out. I'll have the link to Finding Your Indie as well. And I just want you to know, like, Bonnie and Mandy are amazing people. And if you're looking for someone to really increase and up your game when it comes to ad spend, as long as you meet those criteria that she was talking about, I think you're going to find Bonnie is probably one of the best in the business. She is absolutely smart as a whip. I just love her to pieces. And I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode and interview as much as I enjoyed having it, because it was just an absolute joy talking with her. I can't wait to bring her back onto the show. Obviously, I want to see how her direct sales shop has gone and tell her that I've been doing it myself and didn't listen to a darn thing I said in this interview before I went ahead and went direct sales. I literally had this conversation probably 2 or 3 weeks before I finally said screw it and decided to go ahead and do a direct store anyway for my urban fantasy. So I hope you got a little chuckle listening to a blast from the past, technically, because the interview took place before I actually created my website. But I got a giggle out of it anyway, because obviously I can't not do something when it's so cool and it's sounding so exciting. And my activator strength was just like, do it, you must do it. So I think Bonnie probably helped me make that decision. There you go, Bonnie. I'm blaming you. It's all you. All right, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. If you have not yet checked out 4 Books 5 Days, I just wanted to give you a quick update and let you know we had an absolute blast for the first live cohort. It was so much fun. And the course itself, while the cohort is over, it's going to remain open. So if you want to check it out, if you are like, dang it, I missed it, just head over to authorrevolution.org/4 Books 5 Days, or to the show notes for today's podcast episode, because it'll be there as well. But bigger news yet. I have decided that we're going to be launching a live cohort of Rapid Release Roadmap. Now, this course has been ongoing. I usually launch it this time of the year with discounts and whatnot, but this is the first time we've done it as a live cohort. And so what does that mean? We're going to be launching it so that everybody can hop into the course, and we're all going to go through it at the same time. So week 1 is going to start on October 16th. We'll have our first live Q&A call on Saturday the 21st. So if you're looking for more sustainability with your authorship, with your author career, and building it bigger, this is the course for you. Now, I'm in the process of creating new content that's going to go into this course that's going to include modules on direct sales, on AI, obviously, and prompts that we can use throughout the different parts of our journey. So there's new stuff that's going to be added in very soon. It hasn't been added in yet, but it's coming. And if you're looking for that, make sure you're paying attention to the emails or get on my email list, or just reach out to me, because I do have special coupon codes that you can be using if you wanted to be able to save some money on the course. So just reach out to assistant@authorrevolution.org, or you can reach out to me, Carissa, at authorrevolution.org, and I can give you those for you. And I hope that you'll join us, because it's going to be super fun. Not only is it going to be the new students, new people who are coming into this course, but it's also going to be a revival for any of you who are part of the program already. So if you're a student of Rapid Release Roadmap and you want to get in on the action, get in on some of the excitement, and have fun with authors who are also in this journey, I encourage you to kickstart it again with us. It's a 6-week program from start to finish. It's not as long as Millionaire Author Manifestation, so don't worry there. But it's a lot of fun, and it will take us through most of NaNoWriMo. So we're going to be talking about whether or not we want to do sprints together. There's a lot of fun things that are going to be coming out throughout this live cohort. So check it out. You can head over to rapidreleaseroadmap.com if you want to get signed up. And of course, if you want to be able to get the discount codes, reach out to me and we will make sure that you've got them. There is a special discount that is going on until we close the doors on the 15th. So just reach out. All right. Download today's transcript by going over to authorrevolution.org/204. Holy cow, 204. Still can't believe it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed all of the things that Bonnie and I talked about. It was a fun and fascinating and insightful conversation, and I can't wait to bring Bonnie back again. She was so wonderful. All right, have a wonderful rest of the week. I am literally a couple of chapters away from finishing my rom-com, so I'm going to go do that. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Go forth and start your author revolution.